scientists took to the labs to find out if our milk supply is safe.
It's a cornerstone of the American diet, a product we've been taught to trust since birth. But what if that trust is misplaced? What if the wholesome image on the carton is hiding a toxic reality? I started digging into the dairy industry, and what I uncovered was a disturbing pattern of industrial contamination, corporate deception, and regulatory failure. The truth about what's in your milk is not just surprising, it's deeply unsettling. Let's go. Number 10. Prairie Farms. We start with a titan of the Midwest, Prairie Farms. This farmer-owned cooperative, born in 1938, represents over 700 farm families and operates a vast network of more than 40 production facilities. With annual revenues exceeding $3 billion, they are a dominant force in the dairy aisle. But in 2023, this wholesome facade was shattered by a deadly listeria outbreak that exposed the dark side of our industrialized food system. The outbreak was traced to their shelf-stable milkshakes, sold under the Prairie Farms brand but manufactured by a third-party producer, Lyons Magnus. The human cost was devastating. 38 people across 20 states were sickened, and tragically 12 people lost their lives. The CDC's investigation was swift and conclusive, pinpointing the source of the listeria contamination within the Lyons Magnus facility. The subsequent recall was one of the largest in recent memory, encompassing not just Prairie Farms products, but dozens of other brands produced at the same plant, including household names like Premier Protein and Oatly. This incident underscores a critical vulnerability in our food supply: the over-reliance on massive, centralized production facilities. When a single one of these megaplants has a safety failure, the consequences ripple outwards, affecting millions of consumers and dozens of brands. For Prairie Farms, the reputational damage was immense. While they didn't manufacture the contaminated shakes themselves, their name was on the label, and their customers were the ones who paid the ultimate price. It's a stark reminder that in our complex food system, trust is a fragile commodity. Listeria monocytogenes is a particularly nasty bacterium. It can survive and even grow in cold temperatures, making it a persistent threat in food processing environments. For vulnerable populations, the elderly, pregnant women, and those with weakened immune systems, a listeria infection can be fatal. The fact that it was found in a shelf-stable product, one that's supposed to be safe for long-term storage, is even more alarming. It's a sign of a fundamental breakdown in food safety protocols, a failure that had deadly consequences. Number 9. Fairlife. Next we have Fairlife, a brand that has aggressively marketed itself as a premium, ultra-filtered milk with more protein and less sugar. As a subsidiary of the Coca-Cola Company, a beverage behemoth with a market capitalization of over $260 billion, Fairlife has the marketing muscle to back up its claims. You've seen their sleek, modern packaging and their ads promising a superior product. But in 2025, a class action lawsuit alleged that this carefully crafted image was built on a foundation of lies. The lawsuit, George et al. Versus Fairlife, LLC, filed in the Northern District of Illinois, Case 1:19-CV-03108, took aim at the company's claims of high-quality animal care. The plaintiffs argued that these claims were not just misleading, but outright deceptive, citing shocking undercover investigations that revealed horrific animal abuse at Fair Oaks Farms, one of Fairlife's main suppliers. The footage, which quickly went viral, showed calves being kicked, thrown, and beaten by employees, a brutal reality that stood in stark contrast to the idyllic farm life portrayed in Fairlife's marketing. The public backlash was immediate and intense. Consumers who had paid a premium for what they believed was an ethically produced product felt betrayed. The lawsuit contended that Fairlife had built its brand on a false premise and that its claims of traceability and animal welfare were nothing more than a cynical marketing ploy. While Fairlife has since implemented changes and severed ties with the abusive farm, the lawsuit exposed a dark side to the brand's carefully crafted image and raised serious questions about the meaning of ethical in the context of industrial agriculture. The settlement of the lawsuit for $21 million is a pittance for a company the size of Coca-Cola, but it's a symbolic victory for consumers. It's a sign that companies can and will be held accountable for their marketing claims. But the larger question remains: can we ever truly trust the claims of a company that was so willing to deceive its customers? The Fairlife case is a cautionary tale about the power of marketing and the importance of looking beyond the label. If you're enjoying the video, hit the hype button and subscribe. What's your go-to milk or milk alternative? Let me know in the comments. Number 8. Borden Dairy. At number 8, we have a true icon of the American dairy industry, Borden. With its friendly mascot, Elsie the cow, Borden has been a fixture in American homes for over 160 years, but the company has fallen on hard times, filing for bankruptcy in 2020. And in 2024, A Consumer Reports investigation delivered another blow, finding that their 2% milk contained PFAS, the toxic forever chemicals that are increasingly being found in our food supply. PFAS, or per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, are a class of thousands of man-made chemicals used in everything from non-stick cookware to firefighting foam. They're called forever chemicals because they don't break down in the environment or in our bodies, and they've been linked to a host of health problems including cancer, liver damage, and immune system disruption. The fact that they're showing up in milk, a product we give to our children, is a major cause for concern. The Consumer Reports study tested 50 different milk products, and Borden was one of the brands that tested positive for PFAS. While the levels found were below the EPA's proposed limits for drinking water, the fact that these chemicals are present at all is a red flag. It's a sign that our food supply is being contaminated by industrial pollution, and that even the most trusted brands are not immune. It's a story of a fallen giant, a brand that once symbolized American wholesomeness, now a symbol of our toxic legacy. The bankruptcy of Borden is a story in itself. The company was once a dairy powerhouse, but it struggled to compete in a changing marketplace. The rise of private label brands, the decline in milk consumption, and the increasing popularity of plant-based alternatives all contributed to Borden's downfall. The PFAS finding is just another nail in the coffin for a brand that has lost its way. Number 7. Organic Valley. This one is a shocker. Organic Valley is one of the most respected names in the organic food movement. It's a cooperative of over 1,800 family farms, and it's built its brand on a promise of purity and sustainability. But the 2024 Consumer Reports study on PFAS in milk had a disturbing finding. Organic Valley's whole milk also tested positive for forever chemicals. This is a huge blow to the organic industry, which has long been seen as a safe haven from the contaminants of conventional agriculture. The presence of PFAS in organic milk suggests that these chemicals are so widespread in our environment that they're contaminating even the most carefully managed farms. It's a sign that we can't simply rely on an organic label to protect us from industrial pollution. The dream of a pure, untainted food supply is becoming harder and harder to believe in. The source of the PFAS contamination is not yet known, but it could be coming from a variety of sources including contaminated water, soil, or even the packaging materials used for the milk. Whatever the source, the finding is a wake-up call for the organic industry and for consumers who have put their trust in the organic label. It's a sign that the fight for a safe and healthy food supply is far from over. The irony of this finding is that Organic Valley has been a vocal advocate for stricter regulations on PFAS. The cooperative has been working with scientists and policymakers to better understand the problem of PFAS contamination and to find solutions. The fact that their own products are contaminated is a testament to the scale of the problem. It's a sign that even the most well-intentioned companies are struggling to keep these toxic chemicals out of our food. Number 6. Great value, Walmart. At number 6, we have Walmart's house brand, Great Value. Walmart is the largest retailer in the world, with annual revenues of over $600 billion. Their Great Value brand is a go-to for budget-conscious shoppers. But as we've seen time and time again, that low price often comes with a hidden cost. In the case of their milk, that cost is once again PFAS. The 2024 Consumer Reports study found that Great Value's whole milk also tested positive for forever chemicals. This is particularly concerning given Walmart's massive market share. Millions of families across the country rely on Great Value products, and the presence of PFAS in their milk means that millions of people are being exposed to these toxic chemicals, often without their knowledge or consent. It's a story of corporate power and the disproportionate impact of pollution on low-income communities. This finding is another example of how our regulatory system has failed to protect us from industrial pollution. The FDA has been slow to act on PFAS in food, and there are still no federal limits for these chemicals in milk or other food products. This leaves consumers in the dark, and it allows companies like Walmart to continue selling contaminated products with impunity. It's a system that prioritizes corporate profits over public health, and it's a system that needs to change. Walmart's response to the Consumer Reports study was a masterclass in corporate doublespeak. The company issued a statement saying that it was committed to providing safe, high-quality products, and that it was working with our suppliers to better understand the issue of PFAS in the food supply. But the statement offered no concrete commitments to test for PFAS in their products or to remove contaminated products from their shelves. It was a classic case of a corporation saying all the right things while doing nothing of substance. Like this video and let me know in the comments which of these brands surprised you the most. Number 5. Horizon Organic. Another organic brand makes our list at number 5. Horizon Organic. Horizon is one of the largest organic milk brands in the country, and it's owned by Danone, a multinational food products corporation with a market cap of over $40 billion. But like Organic Valley, Horizon's organic milk also tested positive for PFAS in the 2024 Consumer Report study. This is another major blow to the organic industry, and it raises serious questions about the integrity of the organic label. If two of the largest organic milk brands in the country are contaminated with forever chemicals, what does that say about the rest of the organic milk supply? It's a question that the organic industry needs to answer, and it's a question that consumers have a right to ask. The promise of organic is not just about what's not in your food, it's about a fundamental commitment to health and environmental stewardship, a promise that, in this case, appears to have been broken. The presence of PFAS in organic milk is a complex problem with no easy solutions. But one thing is clear, the organic industry needs to do more to protect consumers from these toxic chemicals. This includes everything from testing for PFAS in their products to working with farmers to identify and eliminate sources of contamination. The future of the organic movement depends on it. Danone, the parent company of Horizon, has been a leader in the corporate sustainability movement. The company has made a number of high-profile commitments to reduce its environmental impact and to improve the health and well-being of its customers. The fact that their flagship organic brand is contaminated with PFAS is a major embarrassment for the company, and it's a sign that even the most well-intentioned corporations are struggling to navigate the complexities of our toxic world. Number 4. Promised Land Dairy. At number 4, we have Promised Land Dairy, a brand that prides itself on its rich, creamy milk from Jersey cows. But in 2024, the brand was hit with a lawsuit alleging that its milk was contaminated with PFAS. The lawsuit, filed in the Southern District of New York, claims that the company's marketing of its milk as pure and natural is false and misleading. The lawsuit cites independent lab testing that found PFAS in Promised Land's whole milk. The levels found were significant, and the lawsuit alleges that the company knew or should have known about the contamination. The lawsuit is seeking damages for consumers who purchased the contaminated milk, and it's also seeking an injunction to force the company to either clean up its product or change its marketing. It's a legal battle that could have major implications for the dairy industry as a whole. This lawsuit is part of a growing wave of litigation against food companies over PFAS contamination. As consumers become more aware of the dangers of these chemicals, they're starting to hold companies accountable for selling contaminated products. And with the FDA still dragging its feet on regulating PFAS in food, these lawsuits are one of the few tools that consumers have to protect themselves. It's a story of citizen-led justice in the face of regulatory inaction. Promised Land Dairy is owned by the private equity firm KKR. KKR is one of the largest and most powerful private equity firms in the world, with over $500 billion in assets under management. The fact that a KKR-owned company is being sued for selling contaminated milk is a sign that the problem of PFAS contamination has reached the highest levels of corporate America. It's a story of Wall Street greed and the human cost of a food system that prioritizes profits over people. Number 3. Maple Hill Creamery. At number 3, we have another organic brand, Maple Hill Creamery. Maple Hill is a 100% grass-fed organic dairy, and it's a favorite among health-conscious consumers. But the 2024 Consumer Report study had another shocking finding. Maple Hill's whole milk also tested positive for PFAS. This is a particularly disappointing finding, as Maple Hill has been a leader in the regenerative agriculture movement. The company has built its brand on a commitment to soil health and environmental stewardship, and the presence of PFAS in their milk is a stark reminder that even the most sustainable farms are not immune to the problem of industrial pollution. It's a story of good intentions undone by a toxic world. The finding is also a reminder that the organic label is not a guarantee of purity. While organic standards prohibit the use of synthetic pesticides and fertilizers, they don't address the problem of environmental contamination from sources like PFAS. This is a major gap in the organic standards, and it's one that the USDA needs to address. Until then, consumers are left to navigate a confusing and often misleading marketplace. Maple Hill's response to the Consumer Report study was a mix of defensiveness and deflection. The company issued a statement saying that it was disappointed by the findings and that it was committed to providing the highest quality organic milk. But the statement also sought to downplay the significance of the findings, arguing that the levels of PFAS found were well below the EPA's proposed limits for drinking water. It was a response that failed to take full responsibility for the problem, and it was a response that left many consumers feeling let down. Oakhurst Dairy. At number 2, we have Oakhurst Dairy, a Maine-based dairy that's been in business for over 100 years. But in 2021, the company was at the center of a major PFAS contamination scandal. It was discovered that the farm that supplied the majority of Oakhurst's milk was heavily contaminated with PFAS from biosolids, a fertilizer made from treated sewage sludge. The contamination was so severe that the farm's milk had PFAS levels that were hundreds of times higher than the EPA's health advisory for drinking water. The farm was forced to shut down, and Oakhurst had to scramble to find a new source of milk. The incident was a wake-up call for the entire state of Maine, and it led to a statewide ban on the use of biosolids as fertilizer. It's a story of a community grappling with a toxic legacy and a company forced to confront the dark side of modern agriculture. The Oakhurst scandal is a cautionary tale about the dangers of using industrial waste as fertilizer. It's a practice that's common across the country, and it's a major source of PFAS contamination in our food supply. And while Maine has taken action to address the problem, the federal government has been slow to act, leaving consumers in other states at risk. It's a story of a local disaster with national implications. The farmer at the center of the Oakhurst scandal, Fred Stone, has become a national advocate for stricter regulations on PFAS. He has testified before Congress, and he has been featured in numerous news articles and documentaries. His story is a powerful reminder of the human cost of corporate and regulatory failure. It's a story of a man who lost his livelihood, but who found his voice in the fight for a safe and healthy food supply. Number 1, the entire dairy industry. And at number 1, it's not a single brand, but the entire dairy industry. The fact that so many brands, both conventional and organic, are contaminated with PFAS is a sign of a systemic failure. It's a failure of regulation, a failure of corporate responsibility, and a failure of our food system as a whole. The problem of PFAS contamination is not going to be solved by simply avoiding a few brands. It's a problem that requires a systemic solution. We need stronger regulations to limit the use of these chemicals, we need more testing to identify contaminated products, and we need to hold companies accountable for polluting our food supply. We need to demand a food system that prioritizes public health over corporate profits. And it's not just PFAS. The dairy industry is plagued by a host of other problems, from animal welfare issues to false advertising. The Fairlife and Prairie Farms cases are just 2 examples of a much larger problem. The reality is that the dairy industry has a long history of putting profits before people, and it's time for that to change. It's time for a new food system, one that's built on transparency, accountability, and a genuine commitment to health and sustainability. The path forward is not easy. It will require a concerted effort from consumers, farmers, and policymakers. But it's a fight that we can't afford to lose. The health of our families and the future of our planet depend on it. It's time to take back our food system, one glass of milk at a time. 4 safe alternatives. So what can you do? The good news is that there are brands that are doing it right. Here are 4 safe alternatives to the toxic milk brands on our list. Number 1, Alexandra Family Farm. This is a regenerative organic dairy in California that's committed to soil health and animal welfare. Their milk is A2/A2, which is easier to digest for some people, and they're transparent about their farming practices. They also test for PFAS, and their results are publicly available on their website. Number 2, Kelowna Supernatural. This is an Iowa-based dairy that works with small family farms to produce organic, grass-fed milk. Their milk is minimally processed and non-homogenized, which means the cream rises to the top. They also test for PFAS, and they're committed to working with their farmers to eliminate sources of contamination. Number 3, Working Cows Dairy. This is a family-owned and operated dairy in Alabama that's committed to regenerative agriculture. Their cows are 100% grass-fed, and their milk is free of A1 casein. They also test for PFAS, and they're transparent about their results. Number 4, local small-scale dairies. The best way to ensure that you're getting high-quality, uncontaminated milk is to buy it from a local, small-scale dairy that you trust. Visit your local farmers market, talk to the farmers, and ask them about their farming practices. Ask them if they test for PFAS, and ask them what they're doing to protect their cows and their customers from these toxic chemicals. By supporting local, sustainable agriculture, you can help to build a better food system for everyone. So there you have it, 10 toxic milk brands that you need to avoid. It's a sobering list, but it's important to be informed about what's in your food. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Devoured Daily for more deep dives into the food industry. And don't forget to check out our other videos on toxic food brands. Thanks for watching.